I fumed inside. As an explorer and adventurer, I craved action. But the splatter of raindrops on the windshield, followed by moments of thin sunshine warming the steamy road we traveled, promised another boring vacation. Bound by a seatbelt for hours on end, I dozed from unwelcome inactivity until I got my wish. Sort of. Mom screamed as our van slid sideways down the 4-lane road, and Dad yelled, "Hang on!" He struggled to gain control of the steering wheel, but the van swung into the passing lane on our side of the German Autobahn. A shrill car horn blasted. I clapped my hands over my ears. A quiver of fear ran through my body when I glanced out the window. "The guardrail!" I cried out. "Gabe, quiet!" Mom silenced me. I strained against my seatbelt and clenched Dad's headrest with sweaty hands. My eyes felt like they were popping out of my head. "We're out of control!" I pictured metal shrieking against metal as we impacted the guardrail. I envisioned glass shattering in my face and blood pouring out of my punctured body. That's not going to happen to me. I set my jaw and stiffened my arms in a brace position, ready to duck if the windows got smashed. Our van jerked back and forth across the roadway. We sped toward the metal barrier in the highway's center. The scene burned into my mind. Mom, face pale, pushed her hands against the front dash. "Hold on, Thunder," my older brother Alex shouted. He wedged his dog between captain-style seats. Alex clutched his dog's neck and pushed his knees against Mom's seat. I dropped one hand's death grip on Dad's headrest and pulled my dog, Lightning, off the floor and held him tightly to my chest. At the last instant, Dad swerved away from the guardrail. The sudden move slammed my cheek against the window. Sharp pain jarred my senses to full alert. I tasted blood as I saw gray metal rails flash within inches of my eyes before we zigzagged away from the highway center and toward the 30-foot drop-off on the Autobahn's edge. "We'll be tossed around like rag dolls if we go over the cliff." I jammed my feet against a wall panel and Dad's seat, teeth locked down tight. Backpacks lying on the rear bench seat smashed against the window behind me, then flew over to the other side. I smelled burning rubber and heard the sound of Dad pumping the brakes. My heart jumped into my throat as we rocketed toward the edge of the roadway. "Dad, don't wreck!" My muscles screamed from the tension. Horn blaring, a gray Mercedes sliced the air next to my window, splitting the gap between the guardrail and us. I jumped at the sound and lost my grip on Dad's headrest. My gut churned. I bit back the stinging in my throat, gulping intensely to keep my breakfast where it belonged. Dad jerked the steering wheel left to keep us on the roadway, while swerving to avoid cars darting around us. My seatbelt cut hard into my chest and pulled my body to the right toward Alex and Thunder. A red Porsche followed by a gray-green Volkswagen slipped past us. Muscling the steering wheel, Dad battled our van to a stop on the shoulder of the road. I zoned out, aching all over. "We made it. I'm alive." Pulse racing, my mind went in every direction at once. Safe, cheek pain, blood taste. When my eyes focused again, I pulled my legs up to my chest, hugged Lightning close, and ran my fingers along my teeth on the left side. They came out a little red. I wiped them on a tissue. Lightning went into a frenzy of licking my cheeks and nose, but I didn't care. Other than my cheek and mouth, everything seemed to work fine as I scrambled out of my seatbelt and stuck my head between the front seats. Sweat rolling down his cheeks, Dad seemed frozen for a moment. Then he loosened up and looked at Mom. His shoulders pressed into his seat, and he let out a big breath of air, slapping the steering wheel.